Okay. Man, it's been a little while. It's been 2 weeks.
I know.
You've been to Florida, and then it was Easter?
I know. I got sick. Just coming back from Florida because there were people sneezing.
In the plane?
No, the plane was fine. It was the amusement parks. The amusement parks were just people sneezing all over the place.
Bastards. Absolute bastards.
It wasn't just one or two people. I don't know what it was.
I can't stand people anymore.
Well, I'm just surprised. I'm a little surprised because I'm always in, I've gone to NAMM several years. I've gone, and that's very much known for people going there and getting sick. And every year that I've gone, I haven't been sick once because I use a lot of hand sanitizers. I use the nasal sprays, and I did the exact same thing in Florida. But I couldn't get away from it. And I don't know about you with being sick, but
sorry, go ahead.
No, but I don't know about you with being sick, but I am my world ends. My world ends. I'm very overdramatic.
Well, listen, it's overdramatic is one thing, but you're a vocalist.
Yeah.
If I get a cold, if I'm not absolutely bedridden, I can go on with what I'm doing because whatever, and my voice sounds a little bit groggy. But if you every day you have to come to the studio and perform, essentially, I understand how that is. It will just stop the world from turning. No,
I just feel like shit. I just don't feel like doing anything. Actually, funny enough that when I get sick, I'd say about day 2 of the sickness when I've had the sore throat, I've coughed a little bit, and I'm all stuffed up. That's actually when my voice is flawless.
Really?
Flawless.
Why?
The best it ever is. I can sing Axl Rose. I can sing the craziest high shit you can effortlessly. And the reason is that I have naturally thin vocal cords. And when my voice gets inflamed and my vocal cords thicken up, they have perfect chord closure. That's why and I'm going to tell you this, anyone who's listening, who's if you're a singer, you heard it here. There are singers who are just really that gifted. Gifted as in anatomically. They really just have the perfect set of chords, because other singers don't have that luxury. And that's why it's a tease when I get sick. And I have that the swollen chords because...
Is there any way to make your chords swollen before?
I'm starting to realize that, I came to... one of the things that I learned about my voice is that there'd be times where after we had a gig that was really a long gig, and I was maybe, I had some fatigue after singing for about an hour. And it was a good performance, but it wasn't perfect. I voice gave out here and there. That happens. It's very realistic. And what I would notice is that the next day I could sing like a fucking bird, even better than the day before.
So you got you have to fatigue yourself then.
So that's what I think it is. I think that if I have a rough day the day before and I sing better the next day, it's because I'm a little bit, maybe inflamed. I don't know. That is not a good thing. That's not a good habit, by the way, to have, because that's how people develop nodes. I mean, and here's the thing, and this is what most people won't talk to you about. A lot of singers, it doesn't get talked about a lot unless you're actually following you're following a vocalist who is more in education category. But for those of you who you go to shows and you see live bands and stuff like that, you don't really know what you have. You don't know what the works that you have as a singer, your pipes. You don't know exactly what you're made of until you get on the road and have a touring schedule. Yeah. And that is something that I will admit, I've even admitted it in my videos, I know nothing about. I always say I'm honest. I'm honest whenever I do my vocal analysis videos, because I say I'm just a guy in a studio. I've done a lot of stuff. I've done cover songs and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, The people that I'm analyzing right now are out there. They're performing thousands of shows. They're out there. They know, like they're learning the ins and outs of how to take care of a voice for many years, and that inadvertently turns people into legends. You don't get that legendary status of like Freddie Mercury at Live Aid from just playing a few shows here and there, and then a bunch of videos on the internet. You get that from years, decades of thousands and thousands of shows, and then that's how you do it, and that's how, like everything, that's how every singer. But that's the thing, it's taking care of your voice is an art. Separate art in and of itself.
You're getting some people have some advice for you. People are suggesting eating hot peppers and smoking cigarettes.
Well, that works for
Tim.
Brian Johnson.
It works for Tim. You remember that?
Oh yeah, Tim. Well, Tim heard that. I remember our singer Tim from Rotten Pain back in high school heard that. One thing to help your voice is to coat your throat with milk. Like, he heard that someone said, what was it? Like one of his father's friends that was in bands or something said that, they drank milk before a show. And something that does, I can see why that helps, because, eating junk food, like if you eat fried food and junk food, it definitely helps with metal. That's true. 'Cause it has like, how like you get that kind of, after you eat, like, you know how like you get, like you eat like a meal that's like a fatty meal, and then afterwards, like you have to cough.
Yeah.
You have to cough up, like,
I do know.
That helps. That's where Tim got that from, with the milk. But the problem was that he was drinking milk in between songs. Now that's not.
Oh, really, I remember that.
That's not really what the guy meant. The guy didn't mean hydrate yourself with milk.
No, he
during
went
the
to
performance.
He went to like bodegas before they would go live. So I need to get my chocolate milk or something like that. And he would sometimes he would just buy a Yoo-Hoo. And I remember when we played that Battle of the Bands at the Westchester County Center. He was actually, I don't know where it is now. I just tried to do a search on the internet. There's no trace of it now. But he was interviewed by some journalist who was covering the Battle of the Bands at the county center. I forgot where the hell it was published, but he actually gave that quote to her about how beforehand it's like chocolate milk and a cigarette, or something about that. It's just how I prime my vocal. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is just crazy. What was like, what's your big takeaway from, because it's been since 2024 since I was back there at Universal Studios.
2004.
24. Yeah. 2004. So over 20 years now.
I think that was when I went, right?
So 22 years later, in a nutshell,
it just feels so different.
Not good though.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I still think about it. I still think about it. I still love going. I'd love to go back. I definitely think you need more than just a day, and I definitely, I appreciated, this is one of those things, all the walking during the day in these theme parks is usually something we didn't look forward to. Remember that? Like, you're like, that's kind of, but I look forward to it because that's training for me, for the races and all this stuff. And I like the fact that I got a good 23,000 steps in that day,
Nice.
So, that was great. I don't mind that at all. And the weather was actually, compared to the other times that we went in the past, we used to go when it was like 95.
Well, we'd go down there in August.
Yeah, it would be like 95. We were there at like, it was like 85 degrees, which was great.
Yes.
But, it's
still has a daily shower this time of year?
Yeah, well, we didn't have, well, we left the park. When we left the park, it actually downpoured. It downpoured for like an hour. But, the thing that I'm disappointed with is Universal in particular, because I just feel like they're kind of like abandoning it little by little and taking the easy way on certain things. like I really don't understand the new sections and the new rides. Like they have a new section for Minions, and the Minions are like the yellow
I've seen
cartoonish.
I never watched any.
I don't get it. This is not my, I guess, generation. I don't know what the Minions are. And but they have a Minions ride, and of course, we didn't go on it because Marley's with the screens and stuff. She was sick with the screens. So like for me, but even with me, like I didn't really have any interest in going on a ride if I knew that it was just all screens. There are some rides that do it right. Like in the beginning when Spider-Man first came out in Islands of Adventure, it's a ride that is creative with the screens because there's also like in between, like there's a set.
You're on a track.
And there's some of it is a set, some of it is screens. It's done in such a way that it's an immersive experience, and it's like 4D stuff, creative, and that still like holds up as like the best kind of ride in that way. Because everything else, like we went on racing through New York City with Jimmy Fallon. Come on, so stupid. Why is there a Jimmy Fallon ride there in the first place? They have a section in Universal theme parks for New York. It's a New York section.
I don't understand his success.
Yeah.
I really don't understand. I mean, God bless, but I don't understand his success.
The thing is,
to the point where he has a ride at Universal Studios. I don't understand that.
Well, that's the biggest thing for me, is that I don't understand what is Universal now then. What is Universal if there's all this different stuff that doesn't line up with what it used to have with the classic movies? I thought Universal was like, go to this theme park for rides that gives you an experience. You can relive experience from your favorite classic films.
I know, but they have a gargantuan undertaking at their feet at the moment. If that's really what they're going to preserve, and that is, it's either they can preserve that as being that, and MGM can be, I don't even know if MGM is still a thing over there at Disney, but Universal's in this situation where they have to try to preserve the good old days and the true classics of Tinseltown versus understanding that there is such a widening divide, such a schism, a generational schism now, where the last two generations are decades apart from anybody who would even care about that. And that is not because of just age. Like we were talking about at Easter, and I actually mentioned it on my show not too long ago there too. What we have is, actually, I think it was probably I probably just mentioned it last night, but what we have is a divide between its range and perspective that used to be given to us. We weren't born. There's no reason why. I mean, everybody who is 20s right now, why the hell wouldn't they be able to know things and understand references from stuff from the 70s and the 60s and the 50s? We were getting references to the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and we understood that stuff. It bridged all gaps. Plus, we had our own stuff, and we're adding a new layer onto it. It was the 90s. We're going into a new millennium. I don't understand that. It can't all just be laziness. Because there obviously is a lot of, I think that there is some value in making sure that the newer generations have less in common with their parents and grandparents. And what does that do? What opportunities are there afterwards? You can go, your mind can run away with that one, but it doesn't have to be this way. But what's Universal going to do? Try to reverse that? They can't do that.
I'm just surprised that actually, I would think that, I understand if it's that way now, but I would think that eventually it would get back to people being interested in those old classic films, considering how much, if you just go look on the internet and you see all these reels, like there's so many different like throwbacks to old films and old culture. Everyone wants to go back to the 90s. Everyone wants to go back to the 80s. How people dressed in the 80s. Like Netflix always has like, they're dropping an old, like, a film from the 80s or not, like classic films are always being put on Netflix. It's always in rotation. I'm just surprised that people don't seek out all the older stuff more. But at the same time, here, I'm thinking, I also consider that I'm thinking of what I think the park ought to be, and here I am going to the park for the first time since 2004.
Right.
So it's like,
right.
It's
like when everybody when the flea market around here closed. The flea market around here closed, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're closing the flea market?"
Right.
Like, when was the last time you went to the flea market for Christmas shopping? For anything? You went down there for what? For a Jamaican patty? When was the last time you went to the flea market? When was the last? Right. All the reasons why we went down there. I mean, I remember. I mean, that thing's been gone for years now. Now it's a Target, but before it was a Target, and the last couple of years that thing being open, the occupancy rating. There was like 70% occupancy. There was nobody in there.
I don't remember the last time I went in.
It was nuts. All you can do is go in there. You get discount. It was bootleg jewelry, bootleg bags, and you can get rice patties, and I don't know what the hell else it was. It was just all Mexican food. And from there, once the word got out, it was officially closing up. People went, "Oh no."
Well, that's actually before going on to the Jimmy Fallon ride race through New York City, when you walked into the building, it was all like bodegas, beef patties. You can get Jamaican beef patties.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say, well, there you go.
That would be really New York.
That
would be New York. But instead, what they had was they recreated NBC Studios inside, which actually was pretty well done. I mean, it did feel like New York. It was pretty well done. I kept thinking the whole time, like when we're all herded in the area where Jimmy Fallon is giving his like his announcement of what the ride's going to be, and all, like, he had the Roots do a rap song about all the things to be careful about in the ride. Keep your hands inside, whatever. Stupid. And I'm looking around. I'm like, do people find this funny? Are the people who are around me right now really find this funny? Do they really like want like a New York experience right now? I just feel like I felt embarrassed being a New Yorker in that position right there. I actually kind of felt embarrassed, and I also felt like I was waiting for people to shit talk New York right around me.
But it's not like, but if you go and get in line for that, then you must.
There was no line.
Okay, so there you go.
There was no line whatsoever.
You got to make a choice. It's not like you're forced to go on that just to enter the park. Then you'd hear the shit talking.
Oh yeah, but I just felt like it was like,
funny.
What are we? And yeah, I don't know. The ride. To be fair, like, I didn't know what to expect from the ride.
Wow, this is like New York, huh?
What it was actually kind of funny because it was a race through New York City, and it was really over the top. We were racing through, and we were crashing into all these cars. And then, like, we ended up flying, and then it went really, like, in ridiculous places. Like, you flew towards the Statue of Liberty, and then into the water, and then underwater, and then you flew up to the moon, and then, like, from the moon, you went on this roller coaster back down to Earth. It was fucking stupid, but and here's the thing: it was all screens.
Wait, let me see if the Jimmy Fallon experience is on YouTube. Jimmy Fallon Experience Universal. Let's see how stupid this is. Race through New York with Jimmy Fallon. No 3D effects. Let me see.
Yeah, they have it. Yeah, of course they have it here.
This is it?
Yeah.
4, 3.
Yippee!
Where's all the migrants delivering food? Where's the army of bicycle migrants? Hold on.
Actually, yeah, I'm surprised they didn't have any of the bicycle. They should have had this in Christmas time.
Oh yeah.
Then it would be hell.
Absolute hell. What is that, a flying car?
Oh yeah, then the car flies.
Did Marley get sick for this too?
Oh yeah, and the whole time I have to just be like over the top into it just to kind of like kind of like be like, you know, good energy, like not kind of match that energy, like, you know, oh, I'm feeling sick. I had to be like, yeah, oh,
You were doing that?
oh yeah,
Oh,
like yeah, because like, you know, in a situation like that, like you just have to like, you know,
just got to give yourself over to it.
like act as if. You know?
I do that for Aurora all the time. And then, you know, and then actually it starts making it really fun. For
oh yeah,
I don't know why.
Well, I had to do that on the Harry Potter ride too, and that was because I wasn't enjoying it. The Harry Potter ride wasn't fun. It was kind of a little uncomfortable, and I just kind of threw myself into it. It was just like, yeah, like whoa,
wow. Okay, hold on. I want to see the moon.
Oh yeah, we went through this wormhole and
Where's the moon?
wait, no, go back. Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, anyway, speaking of the moon, in about 40 minutes at the top of the hour, that is when Artemis 2 is going to splash down from space. So I have the link ready.
Oh, they're
to go.
landing tonight?
They're landing in the ocean tonight. Here it is right here. I got it. This is straight from NASA, so you know it's good.
From excessive heat loads. So that is the difference between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2, all designed into this mission to gather data.
So
isn't it crazy how that thing goes 14,000 miles an hour? Or 24, something crazy.
I'm gonna have my buddy Max call in to tell me about well, obviously with the rocket, how, you know, that's just incredible engineering to watch that thing take off.
The Earth is flat.
Yeah, I know. It's let me tell you, dude. It's weird. It's strange.
You know what my feeling is about all that? Honestly, this is it. This is like the definitive thing. If the Earth is a sphere, or if it's flat, is it any less fucking weird?
No, it's not any less weird.
Is it really, like, does it make a big fucking difference? Really? Like, it's still fucking weird. Like, what is any of this?
I don't know. It's a strange kind of like a ritual we go through here, and it's really just all about peacocking about for each other, because nothing's ever going to change anything. It's all like comment section peacocking, and it's just taken I don't know. It's not, what I will say is, from all the conversations that have happened incidentally on air when I've been on air, and it has come up, it's not necessarily about, hey, is it any less weird one way or another? It's more so about where do we gain more value as a race? And is the endless universe model something that really devalues us and makes us a little bit more, or vastly more, insignificant than the flat closed in realm model, which means that this was a terrarium that was built especially for us, and we are a special crop of animal with a lot more, you know, it gets all one way or another, it gets very spiritual, but there's a lot more room for nihilism and a lot more room for atheism and an agnosticism in the vast, endless, expanding darkness, you know. So there's that. Other than that, you know, you could believe that the world is a sphere. It is traveling in orbit around a sun in a heliocentric solar system, and still not believe anything that comes out of any government agency, and still believe that we can be shown things that are just not true to justify a budget that is going to completely irrelevant things, or things that nobody ever asked for. So that's just, you know, everybody unites on that one thing. I think very few people actually trust the government and its affiliated agencies anymore. And so,
yeah, I agree with that.
But there is no aspect of that situation, the shape of the planet, which will ever be, at this point, solved through debating, because everybody is just completely entrenched on their side. They got there through whatever rabbit holes they got through, and
right. And the other thing is no one, we can't go out. We can't go out there. Like we can't see it ourselves. Like, you know, like we can't leave the earth. So how the fuck do we know?
I know. The flat earthers will tell you, yes, you're right. You can't leave the earth. You can't. There is.
Well, what I'm saying is like, okay.
I know, us personally.
Right. Okay. So flat earthers will say that you can't leave the earth. No one can. So they're making all this up. But then even if that's not true and the other's true, only people who are specialized to leave can leave if that's true.
Right.
So like we can't just decide to take a plane and go, all right, we're leaving.
And
I fucking wish it was like Star Wars universe because I'll be honest, sometimes looking at some of this stuff, I start to feel a little claustrophobic.
What, like, the flat earth stuff?
No, just looking at the fact that even if we're in a sphere, like it's just like, whoa, like we can't fucking leave this place.
Yeah,
all we know is this place.
I know.
That's all we know.
It's all it's bad when you feel claustrophobic and you can go outside and just be outside and you're like, oh no, I got to get out of this planet. I got to get off this planet now.
I got to get off this planet.
It's one thing to be locked in a closet or be in an MRI machine, but when you go outside and you say, I got to get out of here, you know you got some problems.
But you know what calms me down a little bit is that think of it this way: nobody really ever loses their mind like that. Like no one's. Not to my knowledge anyway. That no one has like a panic attack where they need to get out of Earth quick. You know, like. So what does that mean? I almost feel like that means that on a deep level, we know something that we can't really, we can't put into words. We can't make sense of with our human brains. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we have like a deep knowing of like another experience that we can kind of like subliminally match this, subliminally contrast that with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If that makes any sense.
It does. It does. That's why when Elon Musk and other people keep talking about we're going to become interplanetary, multiplanetary, we're going to Mars. It's like, well, go have fun. I'm not going to fucking Mars. I don't and to think about some people, to think about the people that have I started even thinking about this. Being up in this space capsule right now. Just that. That's nuts. That's nuts just to be up just that high. And I wouldn't even want to do that.
Do you know what kind of training they have to go through to be able to withstand all of that?
Let me see. If they still do the spinning.
There's a ride in Epcot Center that nobody can even handle. And that's just a ride that apparently what it does is it simulates the experience of that astronauts have to go through in training on a low level. And it fucking freaks like 90% of the people out. Like they can't even handle it. They get sick.
Here it is. Oh, are you talking about the actual, I remember that spinning machine, like it's the centrifuge.
I forget what it's called, but there is a ride in Epcot Center that like is a NASA like simulator.
Let me see. 2026 astronaut training has evolved to support both the Artemis program's lunar missions. It's a 2-year process. Core pillars: spacecraft systems, intense rehearsal on Orion mission simulator, neutral buoyancy training, practicing extravehicular activity or spacewalks in large indoor pools, like the neutral buoyancy laboratory to simulate weightlessness while wearing pressurized suits, robotics and tech, flight operations. They must maintain proficiency in T-38 jet aircraft to practice high-speed, high-stress decision-making. Russian language, essential or continued collaboration on the International Space Station with the Russians. Survival training, learning how to survive in hostile environments, wilderness, water, or Arctic in case of off-target landing. 2026 specialized mission training. Let's see here. They currently returning from their blah, 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 blah. I don't know.
Now imagine everyone who, like, we're going to Mars. Everyone's going to have to go through this training.
Well, what President Trump just said last week, apparently when he called them up after they just, they got up there and they slingshotted around the moon, he gave them a call. And and said, you guys are on a new frontier, the furthest that men and women have actually ever gone out into space with the route that they took to hook around the moon. And he said that's where he mentioned that the next shot, this was all about being able to do that practice run so that you can land on the moon. And then the next thing after that is setting up a permanent base. So we have this International Space Station that is up there flying around. Somebody's going to have to explain the physics of that one, because when you hear something is going around in orbit at thousands of miles an hour, I tend to wonder how the hell you even go out and do a spacewalk without getting dragged.
Yeah.
How can you even walk out there if you already have that kind of momentum that's built up in orbit? I don't get that.
Do they stop?
It's part of the reason why people say this whole thing is FUBAR, is bullshit. Anyway, no, they can't stop it. They can't unless, I don't think they can, unless they do like some kind of reverse thrust or something to just kind of like just stop everything. But then if you stop, then you're going to get pelted by things that are also in orbit coming around. You remember that movie? What the hell did we watch? What was that movie?
Interstellar?
No, the other one.
The one with George Clooney?
No, the one. Yeah.
I think he was an astronaut that died.
What the hell is the one from? What the hell's her name? Sandra Bullock. She was in it. I don't even give a shit. Anyway,
Armageddon?
No. We made fun of Armageddon. I found it. I have to cut that down. But anyway, yeah.
Well, if they were able to land and stop and land on an asteroid, I mean, why couldn't they do that with the moon?
The funny thing is that that we did send things to an asteroid or something like that. It wasn't manned. It was what was that? Didn't we take landing a drone or something on an asteroid? When the hell was that? Landing a drone. When did it happen? This was like within the last 20 years. First successful landing of spacecraft on an asteroid was achieved by NASA on February 2001 after orbiting the asteroid 433 arrows for a year. The spacecraft landed on the surface and continued sending data for 16 days, marking a major milestone in space exploration. I remember it looked like it was like in the middle of a blizzard or something like that. It was just, I don't know what I believe. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'd love for it all to be true because it's just so fantastic. But, that's anyway, in about a half hour is when we're going to be able to see this thing come down and we can watch it together. We were all together when Artemis 2 landed into the water, and that's that. Did you hear about this? A couple of things we can move on to before we get into also the funny reels I have, which open up another thing for another topic, internet memories. I have two things on the music end of things. Here's the first one. We're talking about this case. Well, this is at the tail end of March, not too long ago, but I was waiting for us to talk about this. Man pleads guilty to defrauding music streamers out of millions using AI. His name is Michael Smith, 52 years old, charged after flooding platforms with thousands of AI songs and boosting them with bots. Listen to this idiot. A North Carolina man has pleaded guilty to defrauding music streaming platforms and his fellow musicians out of millions in royalties by flooding the
fellow musicians?
I don't know why. We'll see.
Okay.
Flooding the service with thousands of AI-generated songs and using automated bots to artificially boost the number of listens into the billions. It's so stupid. He's so stupid. As part of a deal with federal prosecutors in New York's Southern District, 52-year-old Michael Smith pleaded guilty on Friday to conspiracy to commit wire fraud. The case against the Cornelius, North Carolina resident is one of the first successful prosecutions of AI-related fraud in the music business, which is being hammered by fake music that threatens to swamp streamer services and deprive earnings from human musicians and copyright holders.
So AI music is not legal to be on streaming? Is that what they're trying to say?
I don't know about that aspect. I see. there's been questions about whether or not AI can be copyrighted, especially since it didn't come from human origin.
I don't think it should be, but that's just my opinion. And people have a very, very, divisive point of view on that. Like, it's a very divisive thing. Some people think that it's like they actually, the argument that you hear from people is that AI just does what humans do. How is it any different than so you taking I'll get the argument of how is it any different if you do Usher and if you do Yeah in the style of Metallica, you going to listen to Sad But True, and then you taking influence from that and recording it, and then AI just doing it. And I'm like, wow, you're really playing stupid, aren't you? Like, you're deliberately playing dumb.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, because the difference is that I plugged in, I played it, I did the programming of the drums with my fingers, and this thing, I don't know where it got it from. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's really hard to articulate that and argue that, because some people are just really that hell bent on the, just like the technicality of it all.
Well, the where I don't understand where we are at this point, where I don't know where we are at this point. Let's see here. It doesn't say anything right there in this segment, but okay, if it can't be copyrighted, then can it not still be monetized? I mean, that's just what this whole thing. I mean, that would just mean that anybody could use it. But if you prompted anything first, you uploaded it, and you were able to promote it organically, and the listens were real, then who?
That's the thing about this that I don't understand. I don't actually, and I'm going to be honest, I don't understand how this guy did anything illegal, really.
Oh, okay. Well, it's fraud, and we'll get. I mean,
let's get into that, because half of it doesn't seem illegal. Because I know people who have uploaded AI generated music on streaming platforms that could make money off of it.
Right, but the thing is that they could make money off of it legally because they are being streamed by actual people. He employed a army of computer programs, bots, that were listening to this to game the system's monetization.
I understand that, but I think
that's fraud.
But I feel like a lot of people, like, is it any different to buy a bunch of ads for a song to be seen by tens of thousands of people people buy ads for music all the time.
It's not advertising. If you want to go and you want to spend...
Well, for instance, like as an example, like, I know people and record labels do this too, where if you release a new song on YouTube, for instance, they'll buy advertisements so that your song appears before similar artists' videos. Like, it shows up as an ad. Your music video shows up as an ad, and that counts as a view. So, like, technically, that is, like, you're buying advertisements, so you're buying views, basically.
Well, I mean, but again, it comes down to who's viewing it. If you can prove that by spending money on better ad placement or better ranking, from an SEO standpoint or anywhere else, that you can actually go there with an advertising budget and market your music. If you can prove that the views that are then being generated on that music are not actually human, then it's fraud, because those views are monetized, and that's the whole thing. Right. Spending your money to promote a new album is not. That's just advertising. That's totally on. And as far as the whole payola kind of a sounding thing that you're talking about there, I don't know if that is like a terms of service thing, or I don't know. But this,
billions of streams.
That's the biggest thing about this, because you have to imagine that there's all types. I know what's going on Twitter. I mean, that's what everybody. There are people who get together, large networks of people on Twitter that get together, and they just gang retweet each other, and they just gang interact with each other, so that certain posts will really start racking up some change. And so it's not that most of the internet economy isn't a nice chunk of that money that is flowing around that isn't just people gaming the system. And whereas, but this is so over the top because he's got, let's see here. He generated thousands of fake songs. First of all, it's thousands of actual songs. Okay. It's not even just like he made an album or even 2 albums in 2 weeks like Mike. He generated thousands of fake songs using artificial intelligence and then streamed those fake songs billions of times. I mean, although the songs and listeners were fake, the millions of dollars Smith stole, he gained from that echo chamber he created was real. Millions of dollars in royalties that Smith diverted from real deserving artists and rights holders. The reason why he says that it diverted it away from real artists and rights holders is because once you flood it with not only, once you flood it with all of that content that can be just made so quickly, you also flood it with people with programs that are listening to the content to boost its rankings. It's just putting real people who are trying to get ahead into the basement, algorithmically, statistically.
Okay, yeah,
right. They're just being.
Well, this is the problem with I think AI in general, like right now, too. It's like, so many people can make AI generated music and content, way quicker and in bulk that no human can really compete with. And that's good, happening all over the place in content creation as well.
Read that right there. This is how stupid it is.
Smith was charged in September 2024 with fraudulently obtaining more than $10 million in royalty payments by amassing as many as 661,000 streams daily between 2017 and 2024, yielding annual royalties of $1 million, $27,000.
He was paying him.
So, but what I don't get is,
oh my gosh,
AI was around in 2017.
Well, I'd have to. I mean, bots were. I mean, I don't know how he was. I don't know how he was generating the money. I mean, how he was generating the music and what primitive stuff was out there in 2017 that was generating AI or artificial music or anything like that. But there was definitely bots.
Oh yeah,
definitely. I mean, that was already buying viewers and buying interactions. That was already a big thing. And hey, you and I have a friend. We actually know a couple of people who can tell you all out there very firsthand things. We were told back around 2012, 13, or whenever the hell it was, by a friend of ours who worked in digital marketing and still does it at a very high level. It was right around the time that Facebook really started taking a turn for the worst, where around 2011 or so, it was at its height of its popularity. And you can create fan pages and people can find your fan page and you can reach all the people on your fan page. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly around 2011, 12 is when suddenly you have to boost your post. If you want to reach the people who voluntarily subscribe to you, you have to pay the platform to be able to unlock certain percentages of your audience. And we were told, Frank, whatever you do, don't put $5 into any of those boosted posts. That was on Facebook. And then the same thing applies to Twitter and everything else. Don't put even $5 into it. I'd say, well, what's the deal? At that time, what he told us as we were at his house for a hookah meeting was Dubai. I think it was Dubai or Morocco and Minnesota at the time were like the hottest places for click farms as they were popping up. You know, all of these stories that are breaking right now where people will have their, almost like a storage facility raided by the police. And inside the storage facility will just be walls of iPhones and Android phones that are all plugged in, all watching YouTube videos, the same YouTube video. Not only to boost channels, but this is happening all over the place. We were getting this back in 2011, 12. Don't spend any money to boost a post, because they're just getting clicked off. And now it's just so much more easier for people to do this for themselves. It's obvious, though. I mean, you can still tell a fraud, but
when there's nothing more stupid. There's nothing that looks worse than when you can tell someone who's bought followers. Like on Instagram, like you see like, you know, a couple of 100,000 people following this person. They put out a post and it's like, you know,
nothing,
20 likes.
The guy that emailed me last March and politely told me that, you know, I just bought the trademark for Quite Frankly. And I told you the story, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm not. If you tell me that he bought anything, I would not be surprised.
Oh no, it is pathetic. The fact that this guy tried telling me this might be a good opportunity for you to rethink your brand and take it into a fresh new direction, and let me have Quite Frankly now. Me be that, and then I go to his so every once in a while I go there just to laugh and feel good about myself. Supposedly has 187,000 subscribers. Every couple of weeks, another video goes up there. Sometimes they have as little as 200 views after a few weeks. But then all of a sudden, the next one has 35,000 views. You go into 20 likes.
Oh, yeah.
5
bullshit.
comments.
It's
bullshit. This fraud was trying to get me to abandon my brand.
Yeah, bullshit.
Dude, this is all over the place.
And I refuse that. Like, you know, the one thing I can't stand too that people do on Instagram, I see they'll hide their likes. You ever notice when people do that? Fuck that. If I have a post that underperforms, I let it all hang out. I don't give a shit. Like, you know, who gives a shit?
Fuck you too.
That's what I say.
I let it all hang out.
That's it. Yeah, okay, fine. My last post sucked. What am I going to do? The only time I delete a post immediately is when I think twice and I say, you know what? That's better off for me to just articulate that later on in front of a microphone.
Well, yeah, I used to do that a lot. Back when I had Twitter, which I don't, X now, but when I had it, I abandoned it because I didn't really, at the time, I didn't find a really good purpose for it. And all it did was made me impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
I'd impulsively put out stupid fucking thoughts that I just would feel embarrassed about like a couple of hours later and delete it. And I realized, like, you know, this is basically giving me this is incentivizing me to, or encouraging me to just be impulsive and put out things prematurely without having them be a part of a work.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like that. I know some people do that and maybe it is part of their brand and that's fine. But for me, I'd rather think things through and put out content. You know?
I'd rather make $1 million a year for 10 years.
Well, he's stupid because
very stupid.
He should have done this very subtly.
Oh, man.
He would have definitely been able to get away with this.
He could have.
And I'm sure there are people who are doing it right now.
Absolutely.
Who are getting away with it. You know?
They have found a nice little balance of over the core, you know, maybe spread out across several low-key, well put together accounts, maybe like good branding, you know, a band logo, whatever the hell it is, and they're making themselves $70,000 extra a year. What the hell? I mean, 10 million. What excess?
He got greedy.
Oh,
he didn't.
damn.
He really just didn't think it was like, he thought that it was like foolproof. He went Walter White on the whole thing.
What an idiot.
He's the Walter White of Spotify scams.
I know. He'll get out, and then he's going to get out, and he's going to do it again for $1 billion. I'm not done. Okay, it's 7:49. We've got a few. I'm going to jump off of the Quite Frankly YouTube in just a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. We got 5 more minutes on the Quite Frankly YouTube. In the pinned comment in that chat room, there is the link, the YouTube link to the Playhouse. You don't even have to leave the platform. Come on over because we are going to we're going to do a countdown here of, let's see here. This is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the 2026 nominees. Jay Gulanello and I went through these. I know. I know which ones you're going to like because he did too. I can't wait to see which ones you say yay and nay to, because this is what really got us thinking about how we need to put together 4 consecutive shows, 4 weeks, a mix between Quite Frankly and also the Playhouse, where we can take 100 Hall of Famers at a time to see how many of the 400 or so artists and bands actually belong in there. And so that's what we're going to be doing here, just on the other side of the break. But I have one other thing that we can do in the lead up to Artemis. What is this? I want to make sure I get this thing there down. Hold on, let me listen to what they're saying.
On station and in position, as are the airborne imagery assets that we hope to receive imagery from.
They're outside
as Artemis enters the Earth's atmosphere and through parachute deployment.
Is it? Okay, so they're getting close. There's the curve of the Earth, as you can see.
I'd be excited if I were them.
We're going home. Yeah, you're going home. Pretty interesting.
Integrity systems are in great shape. The crew is ready to complete its mission.
The crew is having their... I'm not going to even say it. Anyway, we're going to go to that in just a little bit. So I have a couple of reels here I thought would be funny. As far as internet memories go, I watched this one this morning. I talked about all the things, all the memories and feelings that came up for me, and I want to see what comes up for you as well. This is the theme of this one. The POV is, it's 1999. Your crush just logged on to AOL Instant Messenger. Take a look at this. Look at the crushed face. I mean, okay. I was talking about that this morning. What comes up for you when it comes to people you've been waiting to see log on finally, and then within 10, 15 seconds, they're off?
I don't know. I would think that, I don't know. Like, did they just, that doesn't really resonate with me a lot. Like, I would think, like, for me, what the throwback for me was just them signing on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't, like, and then maybe after like, I don't know, an hour or so, when I didn't message them, they'd sign off, and I'd be like, oh, you know, I don't know if it was like 15 seconds.
Those fast ones for me, I was talking about this morning. Those fast ones for me, the popping in, the popping out.
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
Did we ever do that? I don't remember signing on and signing off.
Well, there was quickly there came a time when you never had to sign off again. You just put your away message on and you leave.
Right.
And you get to come home and you get to see all the shit that was waiting for you. You know, almost like, you know, you're getting your answering machine checked. But when it comes to this, I don't know. Some people in the chat, in the comments, were saying, remember when after they signed off, you actually took it personal and you thought that they logged off because they saw you online. And I think that some of them would, like, oh, I can't deal with it right now. I know they're going to text me any second, because you would know which ones are going to.
Oh, yeah.
So there's that. And then there's just also like, there was safety in knowing that someone you liked was online at that point and active, because you couldn't, like I said this morning, you couldn't do AIM from your phone. So you knew that that person for at least a time was at home, sitting in front of a computer, and they were doing maybe just as little as you were.
Right.
You know, when you got home from something, or when you didn't have plans for the night and you saw that barely anybody was logged on to AIM, the only thing you're left to thinking is,
Everyone's
loser.
out.
I'm a loser, and everybody's out. And when you got home and everybody's logged on, you're like, oh, at least everybody's home too, because you had to be home to be online.
Yeah, right.
That was comforting.
Yeah.
So those are just like things that, memories and feelings that none of us have felt in 20 years. Just crazy.
I remember, like, it might have been like playing shows when we were in the band in high school, and like playing gigs, and I don't know why, like I have like these random memories of like someone that we were talking to, networking with, this dude. He was saying, he goes, oh yeah, I'm always online. And like at that time, again, like there was no being online on your phone in 2003. You know, right. You're always online, like you're logged on, meaning like, you know, when you get home and someone's online, it's because they're just chilling out at home, like they're in.
Yeah.
So I'd always like, I don't know why, like that's a core memory, because like it reminds me of that same feeling, like that cozy feeling of whoever you see online was just they were home. Not like some fucking place on their phone, and you know.
I know. It's a crazy feeling. It's a crazy feeling. I loved looking at it before. So here's a couple of the comments. These sounds still give me a visceral reaction. I've been chasing this high for 20 years. And then let's see here.
I've been chasing this high for 20 years.
I know. Let's see. It's even worse when you actually messaged him and then he signed off. Oh, that's happened. The dopamine rush.
Oh, yeah. Or if you ever got an IM from them, or just a hi or something, that's just like
your day has been made. Your day has been made. Like me,
and that's kind of, to be honest, that was a lot less common than you know, the majority of the time, truthfully. But it did happen like every once in a blue moon.
It did. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Wilson, we have a lot more of this to do, a lot more fun to be had. I'm dropping this into the Quite Frankly chat room right there. Click that link. You'll be on another channel on the same platform. Come on over. Be great to have you there, because we're about to get a splashdown in a moment. So there we go.